happens whenever someone is confronted with their own death. It was happening to me now. Can't die either way, right? I tried asking myself that. I tried asking Suzuha even though she wasn't here. I tried asking the world. Of course, nobody answered. The fact that I might not die didn't mean I could do something stupid here. A more college kid like me would be too scared to move once they had a knife to their neck. I've seen people die too many times. I'd almost been killed, but I never did get used to it. Thoughts of Kurusu's blood came back into my mind. I almost suffered a flashback. My body shook. It was all I could do to keep from collapsing to the ground. There nothing else I could do? I thought about just when I was about to give up, a black van pulled up, braked hard at one end of the alley, blocking us in. The sliding door opened and out poured men carrying assault rifles. They were all wearing gray military uniforms and face masks. Their eyes were the eyes of trained soldiers. From the huge frames and color of their skin, it was clear that they weren't Japanese. I immediately realized that this was all real. It wasn't cosplay or anything like that. Those guns were real, and the battle was about to begin. Right? You can't make this stuff up. My experience with the August 13th attack and the war zone I'd lived in until only a few days ago came back to me. Everyone, hide! Didn't matter who was friend or foe. Roika moved the instant I spoke. She saw the attackers and jumped into the shadow of a nearby building. The other rounders spread out too. I let go of Maho, who was standing up confused in the middle of the alley. Maho, get down! The man who was holding me was the only one who reacted a bit too slowly. There was a sharp noise and a bullet went through the helmet of the rounder who was holding a knife to my throat. As he went down, I went down with him. I hit the ground hard. Ugh. The impact made me let go of Dara's backpack. One of the other rounders grabbed it off the ground and ran in the opposite direction of the van. A man got out of the van, evidently the commander, barked orders in what sounded like Russian. One of the soldiers turned their gun to the fleeting rounder. The body flew off the ground as both she and the backpack were torn apart. The contents of the backpack fell to the ground, scattered across the asphalt. The laptop and hard drive were more gunfire than possibly could have been necessary. Kurusu's laptop and hard disk returned to unrecognizable scrap in just a few seconds. I crawled behind the light pole without even bothering to look. It really all happened in an instant. I looked around and the Russian soldiers were running towards us. Morika and our rounders had vanished at some point, leaving only the two bodies. The soldiers silently recovered the remains of the laptop and hard disk, picking up the bodies of the two rounders and got right back in their van. They didn't even pause to look at us. There were only a couple of minutes between the time when they arrived and when they left. All that were left were little fragments lying on the ground. The blood from two bodies. Maho, who was lying on the ground shaking. Daru, who was standing in shock behind one of the buildings. And me, lying on the ground. My heart had been pounding the whole time. I only felt the pain in my neck after it was all over. Evidently, the knife had cut me a little when I'd fallen. A while later, we finally heard the sirens of a police car. It was only then I remembered that I was in Akihabara, Japan. The Third World War had started long ago. We just didn't know it. I realized that in the face of a war between nations, we were truly powerless. Akihabara was in an uproar. There were lots of helicopters in the sky that probably belonged to the media. We escaped to the lab, making sure no one was following us. It hadn't been that long since we were attacked at the hotel. If the cops found us at the scene of another crime like that, they'd be suspicious for sure. We ran before the police arrived. Suzuha wasn't at the lab. She'd sensed that what was going on outside and went to check on the time machine. We held our breath and waited. Felt like if we let anyone know we were here, more scary people would burst down the door and charge in. Hashira, you have any towels here? Yeah, in the washroom. Maho nodded and brought a new towel from the washroom. She handed it to me. Okabe, your neck's bleeding. Put this on it. Huh? Oh, thanks. My neck was wet with blood. Fortunately, it was a deep wound, so it wasn't long before it stopped. After handing me the towel, Maho sat down right on the floor and didn't move. I knew how she felt, especially since this was the second time she'd been attacked. At this time, people had died right in front of her. You okay, Maho? Yeah. She nodded, hesitantly. Her face was deathly pale. I realized that she'd been clutching her left hand into a fist this whole time. There was blood coming out of it. Did you get hurt? Show me. Huh? Oh. Evidently she hadn't noticed she'd been hurt. She was looking at her left hand confused. Huh? What's wrong? Fingers won't move. That's strange. Maho had been holding some small fragment in her left hand. Her hand had frozen around it and wouldn't move. Soon it started to shake. I grabbed her hand and forced her fingers one by one, opened her fingers one by one. Whatever it was, she'd been clutching it so tightly that she'd cut off the blood flow to her fingers. They were very cold. I finally forced her hand open. The thing she was holding fell to the floor. What was it? I picked it up. Oh, it's a red piece of magnesium alloy. It's a piece of Kurisu's laptop. She must have grabbed it off the ground when she was running away. She held something so sharp tightly for so long, of course she was going to bleed. I returned it to Maho without a word. She took the broken fragment and cradled it in her hands, stared at it with an empty expression. But only a single line of tears dripped down her cheek. After that, it didn't stop. She continued to sob. Kurisu, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't protect you. I'm so sorry. It was as if the tiny fragment was Kurisu herself. She held it to her chest and kept crying. Maho, I'm sure Kurisu feels relieved. Huh? Glad you're safe. You don't need to apologize. There's nothing to apologize about. Alright, I'm not crying. I don't have anything in my eye. He didn't respond. Instead, a phone started to vibrate. Oh, it's mine. Maho took out her cell phone, looked at the message she received. It's from Dr. Leskinen. I hate that guy. What's wrong? He says the office and hotels were ransacked. His and mine, they're a mess, he says. I see. Whether it was the Rounders, the Russians, or whoever had first surrounded the cosplay shop, they must have been after Kurisu's laptop and hard drive. No backup of that computer's data, right? Right. This is for the best. Kurisu left behind would be used as a tool to kill billions of people. In the end, I got what I wanted. The data was destroyed before anyone got their hands on it. There was so little left that I was sure there'd be no way to restore it. Wait, why'd the Russians destroy that computer? Didn't they want to get their hands on it? Russia's in the lead in the race for the time machine right now. Their perspective, it'd be great if they could get the laptop. They'd probably rather destroy it than let someone else get their hands on it, right? Probably wanted to avoid a proactive gunfight with the Rounders in broad daylight in Japan. The bold way they made their decision made me shiver. They really were professional soldiers. An amateur couldn't do that. What do we do now? I'd rather not stay here if I can avoid it. Russia might not know about this place, but Moika might. The Rounders were on the move, then Tenoji downstairs might be involved too. We'll move at sunset. Would have been great if Suzu had come back. I couldn't get in touch with her. Phew. Bathtub scene of the legal logo. Maho was sinking into a warm bathtub. She would Finally feel blood flowing through her body again. The heat melted the tension away from her muscles. Her injured hand hurt a little, but it wasn't unbearable. She felt like she'd come back to life. Once the sun had set, Maho and Rentaro had gone to Ferris, the cat-eared maid of the May Queen Yan, for help. Ferris's home was at the top of a high-rise condo building on prime Akibara real estate. From a security perspective, it was superior to the Future Gadget Lab in every way imaginable. Ferris welcomed the two of them, offering them food and a place to sleep. Now, she'd even offered them a bath. Maho was a little worried about Hashida Itaru. He'd insisted on staying to wait for his younger sister Suzuha, and remained alone at the Future Gadget Lab. More than an hour had passed since then. Rentaro heard anything? Even if they'd moved, that didn't mean this place was safe. The group from this afternoon could attack at any time. She couldn't help but feel nervous. Feel terrified and vulnerable as she sat naked in the bath. She got out of the bathtub, hurried to the changing room to wipe herself down. She tried to put on a change of underwear Ferris had given her. Whoa! Avert thy eyes, stream. Avert thy eyes. There's a booty on screen. Her hands started to shake. Knees buckled. She fell to the ground. This is extreme muscle relaxation after a period of elevated tension and then sudden release. She tried to stay calm by analyzing herself, but that didn't mean she could do anything but lie down. This is bad. Alarm bells were going off in her head. She'd just about given up knowing that it would pass time when Ferris popped her head in. Oh, thank God it was Ferris. Mahonyan, how's the water? Meow? Ferris screamed and started to panic when she saw Maho naked and lying on the floor. Oh no, Nya! She's going to die! Mahonyan's going to die! No, it's fine. Maho's voice was so weak that Ferris didn't even hear her. I need to get her to the bed. Ferris tried to pick up the naked Maho and then slipped and dropped her. Maho hit the back of her head on the floor. Saw little stars dancing across her field of vision. Oh, yep, that's a concussion. Hanayama, I'm so sorry. Drop. Damn. Alright. Calls for a male's approach. Sprawling naked on the floor, face up, Maho tried to force herself to stand, but her arms were too weak. She killed her. No! No! Not again. Not like this. We can't go back anymore. This is the final lap. Whatever happens, happens. Listen, this will pass soon. Ferris wasn't listening. For some reason, she decided to reach out around Maho from behind and tried to drag her up. Then Matara must have heard Ferris scream because he ran in. What's wrong, Ferris? Yeah? Wanted to scream, but all that came up was a tiny whimper. No. Well, that happened. Awkward. She's 21. She's 21. Oh god. Oh god. Still awkward. That doesn't help the situation. I'm really sorry. I mean it. Rentaro lowered his head deeply towards Maho as they lay on the bed. I'm not sure why they decided to completely ruin all the build-up tension and trauma with the scene. I don't really know how they couldn't. There's no coming back from where we just were. That's the second naked booty we've seen this entire game. You don't need to apologize. It was an accident. Never mind. And then we go back. She still couldn't bear to look him in the face. Just remembering the despair and embarrassment she'd felt when he saw her naked body made her want to bury her head in a pillow, flail her legs back and forth. To make matters worse, she still hadn't been able to stand up after that. Rotaro had been forced to carry her to the bed. Damn. So not only did he see her naked, but he had to carry her naked to the room. A gentleman, nonetheless. She'd never been touched by a boy before. Ooh! So it was only today that she realized how rugged male arms were. Okabe, you dog. The fan service seems out of place in this game, especially since the first game had literally just one. Right? Oh my god. I can't agree more. Death Bellows. Cheeto! Welcome to the stream. What an awkward time for you to join. Not you, just story-wise awkward. I just carried a naked woman into Ferris's bedroom. Being carried was extremely uncomfortable, to the point where she'd squirmed around and almost slipped out of his arms. Oh, that's all we need to drop her twice. She had no choice but to curl herself into a ball and let Rotaro do whatever he wanted with her. Where's Rambo when you need him? Which made her feel really strange. Well, at least it's not Sergeant Clean. It's like when a parent walks in on the most awkward moments. Oh, God. Yeah. And then carries you out of the room before you can finish. I mean, what? And explains to you, what were you doing? Sorry, Cheeto. Oh my god. Well. And now she couldn't even bear to look at his face. But yeah, it was the fault of panicking like that. Ferris was sitting next to Rintaro, feet under her knees, with her shoulders slumped. No, it's fine. Sorry for scaring you, in fact. You're sure you're okay? You don't need to go to a hospital. Better not be doing stuff to Ferris, though. Oh, no. Ferris tried to help. All the tension cut me up is all. I must have really worried you. I'm so embarrassed. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Anybody would be scared after what happened today. Anyone would feel sick. And you? Yeah. Let's see. Get some rest for now, Nya. You can think about what happened and what you're going to do next after you're feeling better. That's right, yeah, that's what I'll do. Thank you. Maho closed her eyes. The lights went out and Rotaro and Ferris left the room. Happy Valentine's Day, brother. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, we made it! Happy Valentine's Day, everyone! Singles Awareness Day. At some point today, we get to Steins Gate. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I can promise you we're gonna get there. And I'm here with Ego. Ah, you know what? That's a gold star. Imagine having a Valentine's. Single gang. Whoop whoop. No, it's mine. Right? Everyone here gets a gold star. Said cheesy too late. Oh no, it's happened. She lay on the bed and tried not to think about anything. You could hear the pounding of her heart. It would get louder and then softer. The rhythm was very strange. She could hear a kind of static noise mixed in with her heartbeat, like a broken TV. Was it exhaustion-induced tinnitus? Whatever it was, when she noticed it, she couldn't sleep. Time to think of it, Okabe said he was taking some tranquilizers. Damn! Wasn't supposed to do this. She looked at their ingredients. She could tell what medications had what effect. Take a look and have him lend her some? Yay! I am getting G old. Oh, God. No. Oh. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? You're not alone. No one's alone here in the stream, especially on Valentine's Day. If that was possible, she could at least get some over-the-counter antihistamines to use as a sleep aid. We are all time travelers. I didn't get one. Oh, I have my apologies. Let me fix that. 1,000 apologies. I thought I gave you one. And because I forgot, you can also have a hug. I'll also give one to Frollo. Probably asleep, but he's here in spirit. That was possible. She could at least get some over-the-counter antihistamines to use as a sleep aid. She turned over. Don't yell. Do what I tell you, otherwise you're dead. Y'all didn't get hugs. I'm special. There's the 2%. The 2% of Cheeto. That's Sahas. If only Snoopy were here. Suddenly she heard a voice break through the unpleasant noise. She gulped and leaped out of bed. Terror-stricken, Maho tried to crawl to the door. Her legs wouldn't move like she wanted to. She couldn't stand up. The voice in her ears followed her wherever she went. It's like a wild animal toying with its prey. All of the hairs on her body were standing up on end. Her jaw was chattering so hard she bit her tongue. She desperately crawled across the carpet and towards the door. Do I have to kill one of you? Stop! No! 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 Maho, wake up! She woke up to find herself being violently shaken by the shoulders. She looked around the room, panting. He was in bed and Rotaro was looking down at her. Her whole body was sweaty and she felt sick. There was a burning sensation deep in her stomach. What's wrong? Someone's here. Haro looked around. First came a moment later, as well as the older man who was with her butler. They were simply standing at the entrance of the room, concerned. Sure, it was just a bad dream. The antique clock on the shelf said that at some point it had gotten past 1 a.m. Must have slept for hours without realizing it. Yeah, you're right. I guess it was just a dream. I legit thought she was gonna die. Oh, I was on the edge of my seat right there. Better remember, anything that happens for keeps this time. She took a painful breath, wiped the sweat off her forehead without realizing that she sounded like just a little child. Sent Ferris and the butler back to their rooms. Taro brought her a towel from the washroom. Really sweating. You should wipe yourself down. Did as she said, wiped the beads of sweat off her face, chest, and limbs, as she was deciding whether or not to wipe the inside of her pajamas. When Taro took the hint and turned around. Going back to my room. Call me anytime if you need something. Ah. Elder Chili. Thank you for the stretch. Oh, I need it after that. So many things. That guy is a Chad. Alright. Why do you think he's Snoopy's hero? Elder Chili. A shout out to the booty. Whose booty do you want me to shout out? Maho's? Because your options are Maho or someone of your liking, I suppose. I have to keep reminding myself she is a legal lowly. Every time I say it, it just gets a little more left this running. See y'all later. Okay. You'll get your booty shout out tomorrow, or later today, I suppose. Take care, Elder Chili. How's Hashira? Oh, I just got word he met up with Suzuha. I see. Good night. Chili's talking about my booty probs. Probably, Cheeto. Probably. No problem. Right? Elder Chili. When will he strike next? When Tara was about to leave her bedside, Maho. But Maho, she couldn't believe she was doing this. Reached out and grabbed the hem of his shirt without thinking. Oh. Wait. Please, it doesn't have to be for long. I thought we got rid of him. As did I. Apparently not. Just stay here. Maho. Don't leave me alone. Maho was surprised by the words she was saying. The thought of spending this terrible night all by herself was too much for her. Tara must have understood how she felt. He nodded without smiling. Fine. I'll stay with you till you fall asleep. Same. And that's how you get the waifus. Thanks. Sorry for asking you to do this. No, it's fine. I had a hell of a time getting to sleep myself. I'll turn around. At least wipe off the sweat. Okay. While Rintaro stared back at the door, she took off her pajamas and wiped off the thick layer of sweat that covered her whole body. Tried to put her pajamas on again, but they were too drenched for her to want to wear them. She had no choice but to dive back under the covers in nothing but her underwear, bring the comforter way above her chest. Thank God. Yeah, it's okay now. Missed the dim glow of the nightlight when Taro brought a chair to the side of the bed and sat down. I'll be watching over you right here. You don't need to worry about a thing. You'll be safe, right? Worried? No, I'm fine. Maho's face felt hot from some feeling that she didn't understand. She sank deeper under the blanket and turned away from Intaro. Softly closed her eyes. She could feel his presence behind her. Two of them stopped talking, and the only noise was the distant sounds of night coming from beyond the curtain. How long did they spend like that? Just as she was about to fall into a light sleep, she heard a soft voice in her ears. Maho, are you still awake? Yeah. Felt herself waking up again. Her eyes turned back toward Rintaro, only to see him staring toward the window. As if he was trying to see some sight that lay beyond it. Profile is so handsome. For some reason that was the thought that came to her. What's wrong? Taro seemed unwilling to talk, so Maho decided to speak first. Looks so... right? He swallowed loudly. They meant to tell you this a lot sooner. Didn't have the courage. I'm sorry. Done with this. He's getting too old for this. He may have the body of a teenager. But the amount of times he's time traveled, I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually like somewhere in his 20s to 30s. What are you talking about? It's one thing. One thing? Thing I haven't told you. Maho leaned forward, not caring that he might see her chest. I told you about the other world line, and the Kurisu I met there, about the time machine and the time leaps. Yeah? About Kurisu and her dad. Yeah? Actually, one more thing I should have told you. Just couldn't. His head was slumping forward in his chair. Maho waited silently for his next words. Despite the late hour, she heard a helicopter in the distance. For some reason, it sounded really loud. Oh, God. Now? Of all times, now? Sorry. If you hadn't seen the news, it was possible that the media was still talking about the gun battle that had taken place this afternoon. This was something I needed to tell you and you alone. Finally spoke. His expression was unlike any look she'd ever seen in his face before. It was pained, sad, and suffering, like someone at the bottom of a deep, dark place. Yet there was something in the eyes that hinted at incredible self-hatred and rage. Okabe? Suddenly her chest felt like it was about to burst from pain. She didn't know where the pain was coming from, but she wanted Rentaro to stop looking like that. That day, the radio building killed Kurisu was. His hands were forming some kind of shape, like he was holding an invisible knife. The one who killed Kurisu was. Enough! He screamed, unable to take it anymore. She rolled out of bed, forgetting how she was dressed, and covered Rentaro's hands with her own. It's enough! Enough! You don't need to say anymore. No! I believe you. You don't need to tell me. Someday when the time comes, I'm going to make you tell me whether you want to or not. But that time isn't now. Don't say it. Oh my god. Did he score another waifu? Till that time comes, keep your mouth shut. She straightened her grip and forced him to let go of the invisible knife. Rentaro nodded without saying another word. They simply stared at each other for a while. Maho couldn't look away from his gaze. It was as if he was clinging to something, or wandering in search of salvation. I don't know what's happening, although I know she's undressed. That's it. Yes. Among things, that is, yes. It is true what you're saying. They're having a moment. Shoot! He sneezed. I'm going to catch a cold. Huh. It was only then that she realized that she was holding Rentaro's hands while wearing next to nothing. Oh my god. I think it's happening. Rentaro looked a little embarrassed. I'm sorry. She quickly jumped back into the blankets. Poggers. She curled up in a ball and tore at her hair, screaming inside her mind. She'd let a boy see her naked not once, but twice. This time I'm going to bed. Sorry for bothering you. You're not bothering me at all. But never bring that up again, okay? Okay? Yeah. Thanks, Maho. I haven't done anything that you should thank me for. Anyway, good night. Good night. The room got quiet again. The adrenaline rush kept Maho awake. After a while, she heard snores coming from Antaro's direction. Evidently, he'd fallen asleep. He must have been tired. He went through the same attack that Maho had. Of course he was. His breathing wasn't peaceful at all. It was pained. He may have been in the grip of some terrible nightmare. Maho hesitated several times, but finally she turned over and stretched out her hand from the blankets. She softly touched the backside of his hand. She felt its warmth on her fingertips. Did Kurisu call you, I wonder? Okabe? Or is it Rintaro, maybe? He didn't know, but it didn't matter. Hang in there, Okabe Rintaro. The man I fell in love with really that week? Oh my god, she admitted it. She admitted it! On Valentine's Day, she admitted it! She's in love with them. Oh man. She tried to think about how Kurisu would say those words. Oh, never mind. Yes! False alarm! I should have turned the page. Eventually, Rintaro's breathing started to become more peaceful. Relieved. Well, Kurisu called him a lot of things. Creep, idiot, pervert, Junie. Shaking my head. Damn it. Heartbroken. That's also true. Dead Bellows, that's also true. All of those things are what make up Okabe. Relieved, she let go, and then she changed her mind and grabbed the hem of his shirt again. She felt embarrassed, as if she were a little kid. At the same time, she felt like now, she might not have any more nightmares. That night, for the first time in a very long while, she dreamed of a smiling Kurisu. Maho and I stayed at Ferris's house for several days after that. Now that Kurisu's computer was destroyed, the odds that anyone would come after us had gone way down. There was still a chance. Just to be extra careful, I stayed away from the lab. Oh, this jerk. Maho, then Talho. Leskinen looked a little thinner since the last time I'd seen him. Probably because he doesn't get any sleep plotting evil things. Professor, I'm so glad you're safe. You too, Maho. Sounds like you had a rough time. Oh god, he's too close. Dr. Leskinen held Maho tightly in his huge arms. Of evil. That's what that should have said. The difference in size between them was so great that Maho looked like some kind of stuffed animal. Professor, that hurts. You're hurting me. Dr. Leskinen and Maho were leaving the country in the afternoon on a weekday. He's the only one who could see them off. If I'd been with Maho the whole time, instead of only seeing them off, I'd actually just brought her there. Maho, after all, was the kind of person who was incapable of getting to an airport on her own. I was amazed she'd survived this long, given her lack of basic skills. Leskinen was so obviously a bad guy. I didn't think he would be. Right? I didn't think he was going to be a bad guy. In all the other world lines, it was someone else. And then it's like... And then he showed his true colors. And then you're like... Ugh. Quacks like a duck. Looks like a duck. Sounds like a duck. It's a duck. Of evil. I need that soundbite of evil. SpongeBob. I was amazed that she survived this long, given her lack of basic skills. We'd held Maho's goodbye party last night at Ferris's house. Yena's stigma was my first ending. Oh god. Well, you can only go up from there. I unfortunately went way down. That was my penultimate ending. So it's gonna be. It's not that hard to make a happy ending after what we just saw, but still, I think you probably went in a more optimal path than I. I actually would have probably preferred to see what we just saw first, and then everything else. But c'est la vie. I'll take it. Alright. We are where we are. Doesn't matter how we got there. What matters is that we're here. Alright. Ferris was there. So were Mayuri and Daru. And the others from the Christmas party. Oh, we're sad to see her go. I for some reason usually get the bad neutral ending on my first playthroughs. Yeah, that's pretty standard. Those are usually the least, how do I put it? Usually those options are the least like how do I explain it? Like the least amount of like you stray. Like if you just play the game and not worry too much about like, is this gonna do that? So that's gonna do this. Cause and effect. That's usually what you get your first time. It's just the way the story is. They're like bread and butter. You can only go up from there. Then Telho, thanks for staying with Maho. You've really been a great help. Not at all. But when can you come to my lab? Wasn't kidding about that, huh? I'll study hard so I can go as soon as possible. Can I contact you when I'm ready? Of course. I'll be waiting. He smiled as he took my hand and shook it. I was really glad to hear it. Meeting Amadeus, my desire to go to Victor Condre had only increased. I hate the way the guy looks. Makes a lot of sense why he wants you to come to his lab now, doesn't it? Oh yeah, total sense. Now we just have to see how things truly unfold. Let me say thanks, Okabe. Really. If it weren't for you, I might not even be alive right now. You're exaggerating. No, I mean it. I'm really grateful. I'll be waiting for you too, so do your best. Yeah, you too. Good luck with your research. So, Lintalvo, as we discussed previously, I'm going to be revoking your access rights for Amadeus today. That's fine, right? Gonna make something to eat? Might take a bit. No problem, Cheeto. Probably also why he wants to matchmake Maho and Okabe. Just one more reason for Okabe to want to go there. I mean, true. He said that in the previous world line. The whole them becoming besties was like just further went into his master plan of complete and total world domination. Yes. Evidently they could leave me with access to Amadeus after they left the country. Context is everything. So true. I can't agree enough. That's another gold star. Death Bellows. Making me proud. Evidently, they couldn't leave me with access to Amadeus after they left the country. I was only surprised to test her during their stay here anyway. To say a final goodbye to Kurusu. Yeah, you're right. Can I say something to her quick? Of course. Tap the icon for Amadeus. What? Do I get a goodbye too? Kurusu was expressionless for some reason. Guess so. Do you not need one? Say goodbye to Maho before me, right? He did. Maho interjected before I could speak. I hope so. Kurusu was inside my screen. Is it a good thing that I'd spoken to her like this? Bad thing. In the end, I knew I needed to forget about Makase Kurusu, but I couldn't. Escape from this curse. If I lose access rights, we won't be able to see each other anymore, will we? Well, I am slightly grateful that you gave me someone to talk to. It's a chance you're coming to Dr. Leskinen's lab, right? I'll make sure to remember you until we meet again. You're such a tsundere. Tsundere? What's that? Did you use words I don't understand? Why is your face red? He's blushing. Kurusu was just very shy. Jeez, not you too, Professor. Stay healthy. Probably isn't the right thing to say. You don't get sick. Don't tease Maho too much. Right. You don't need to tell me. I already know. I hope so. I hope someday your smile doesn't look so sad. I hope someday you can smile for real. Guess even in AI could see right through me. Guess Kurusu really was one hell of a woman. Bye. Yeah. Kurusu disappeared from my screen. Turned to Dr. Leskinen and nodded, deleting the Amadeus icon from my screen. We'll handle the paperwork for the access revocation on our own later. Thanks for your help with the testing. Got some really valuable data. No, thank you. Bowed deeply to both Maho and Dr. Leskinen. I watched their plane take off into the distance. Noticed that it felt like there were a hole. There was a hole in my heart. Clutched my phone tightly. Its connection to Amadeus was gone. Aw, he misses her. Presage or recognize? Kagari, from now on, you're officially my daughter. When Kagari was 6, she'd been living in a facility for war orphans, getting treatment at a dedicated clinic next door. It's a completely different place than the normal hospitals, which were overflowing with casualties from the war. It was an idyllic garden, shut off from the despair of the outside world so that children could live in peace. Right, Mayuri, future Mayuri, the Mayuri of the future. Where she'd met her mom. Mom, Sheena Mayuri, was a Class 2 caregiver at the facility who was always very nice to her. Really? You're gonna be my real mommy? Yep, that's right. Future and present. Yay, mommy! It was impossible to express with words how happy Kaguri had felt. Being mom's real daughter meant that Kaguri had become her real name. Kaguri became Sheena Kaguri. Hey, don't hug me so tight. You're so spoiled, Kaguri. I can leave, right? I can live with you? I'm sorry, it looks like you need a little more treatment. That's right. Oh, doctor. Kaguri didn't know the doctor's name, but he was a nice old man who was always kind to her. It's going to be another 6 months, then it's over. I'll just have to hang in there until then. 6 months? When we talked about this before, you said 2 weeks. I was referring to her physical wounds. The post-traumatic stress suffered by a child during the Great Bombing of Tokyo far exceeds that of adults. We learned at her exam yesterday that she's still having nightmares. Is that true, Kaguri? That's not true. I don't have nightmares anymore. It's all fun dreams. Fun. Kaguri, it's not good to lie. It'll only make your treatment take longer. Aww. You told me yesterday that you wake up with nightmares all the time still, didn't you? Yeah. Oh my, I see. Proof that the memories of the bombing still exist in her mind as terrifying experiences. If we don't treat them properly, it could lead to irreversible consequences. You're right. Don't mind if we continue with her treatment. Do you, Mom? Oh, of course. Kaguri, let's do our best and beat the bad sickness, okay? Mom rubbed her head. Kaguri felt so at peace that she could cry. Okay. Yep. That's my girl. Okay, see you later, Kaguri. Mommy. Mom took her hand away. Instead, the doctor took Kaguri's hand. Taken to the usual room. There was a white reclining chair. Next to it, some kind of mechanical system connected to a headset. Yet the same voice as always. Protect your mother. Protect this world. That's why you were born. I don't remember when she started hearing the voice. By the time she was 6, whoever she was worried, uncertain, or in trouble, she could hear it. It was always kind and strong, and it always cheered her up. Kaguri's childish mind, she started to think it might be the voice of God. Only she could bear it. Everyone else said it was just an illness. Mom was the one person who believed her. To protect Mommy, so I need to work hard at my treatment. Kaguri's young heart was filled with the hope that she could someday live with Mom. Oh God. As soon as she opened the door, she and Kaguri were struck by an unpleasant wave of heat. It was early June. This was the first day to hit summer temperatures. It was hot enough that just walking outside could cause you to sweat, but the small Japanese-style room had thick curtains and the windows were closed. The room was dark and cramped. There were so many clothes on the floor there was no place to stand. It wasn't just clothes. There were all kinds of filthy things. Bags, half-eaten snack bread still in them, half-rotted food packs, plastic convenience store bags overflowing with trash, all scattered around the floor. Moika? The area around the half-naked girl sitting against the wall was covered in bandages and gauze soaked with blood and pus. There were bandages tied around her exposed stomach, chest, and limbs, but those too were soaked with blood. The room was filled with sickeningly sweet stench, though there was no way to know if it was coming from the garbage or coming from her. The owner of the room, Moika Kiryu, raised her head and looked at her, eyes filled with hope. M4, you're still alive? Saw Kaguri, who was still wearing her shoes as she came into the room. Her shoulders slumped. You're not FB. Who are you? It's an awful thing to say to the person who saved your life. Moika gave a painful cough, spit up some stomach fluid mixed with blood. It stained her thighs and the floor. Her wounds must have opened again, because the bandages around her stomach began to turn red. Spent 5 months like this, with no treatment from a doctor. Moika had got into a gunfight with the Russian army, failed her mission as a rounder. Lost 2 of the company's companions, and her target, Kurisu Makase's laptop, was also destroyed. They pinned the blame on her. She was wounded and almost killed. It was Kaguri who saved her and brought her to this room. But if someone with a gunshot wound went to the hospital, the police would be notified. For that reason, she'd never gotten any real treatment. Her wounds had become infected, and even 5 months later, they still brought her incredible pain. Terrible fever hadn't let up at all. It wasn't rare for it to go from 39 degrees to over 40. Monika didn't seem very interested in her wounds. More interested in sending messages with the phone in her hands. She must have been sending more messages to her beloved boss. In the past 5 months, she sent almost 1,000. Why FB? Won't you answer me? FB was Moika's boss in the Rounders. Woman who always gave orders to Moika via text message. Oh, if only she knew. If only she knew. Moika worshipped her to a degree that far exceeded what could occur with a normal employee relationship. The shock of being abandoned by FB had hurt her many times more than her actual wounds. Gregory tossed a bag she'd had slung over her shoulder at Moika's feet, along with 2 plastic bags. The backpack was filled with medicine that wasn't available without a doctor's prescription. Along with it was a whole box of illegal drugs used only for treatment of severe pain. Only this would be kept under strict control at a hospital, where no normal person could get them. Both of the plastic bags were filled with canned goods, other things Kaguri had chosen because they had the lowest probability of spoiling. Don't feel like living anymore. Tell me. I'll bring you poison instead. Moika didn't seem to notice Kaguri at all anymore. She was completely unresponsive. Kaguri had gotten used to her attitude over the last 5 months. She wasn't just going to go home today. She wordlessly reached for Moika's cell phone. What are you doing? Moika tried to resist, but evidently she had no strength left. Kaguri was easily able to grab the phone. It was covered in blood and pus, but Kaguri forced it into her pocket without hesitation. Give it back! Moika started crawling towards her. It was like something out of a zombie movie. Don't get the wrong idea. I've got new orders from FB. Moika froze. Orders from FB? Yeah, take it. Kaguri took another cell phone out of her pocket. It was the same Japanese cell phone that Moika had been using, minus the dirt and bloodstains. Tricked her. The phone you've been using is under surveillance by the Russians and Americans, so she can't use it. So from now on, your orders will come in via this. And that's how she took control. Clever girl. Moika reached a trembling hand out toward the phone. Easily manipulated. Shaking my head. In an instant, she snatched it away and clutched it to her chest like it was her own child. Will FB send me messages if I have this phone? Should have some already. Couldn't even think for herself. Damn, Moika. How far you've fallen. Moika quickly opened the screen of the phone. When she saw the words on the screen, tears started to flow down her face. M4, my beloved daughter. It's been so hard for you. I know it was hard for me. Your failure was unfortunate, but I'm very glad you're alive. Get better and wait for my next message, okay? This time, complete your mission successfully and regain my trust. I believe in you from the bottom of my heart. My beloved daughter from FB. Didn't need to read it out loud. Of course this message wasn't from FB. Kaguri had written it herself. Keep someone at the brink of death for 5 months, then give them exactly what they want as bait, you can easily put anyone under your control. Kaguri knew this well. The life suddenly returned to Moika's face. She spilled out the contents of Kaguri's backpack like a woman possessed. I want to get better. I need to regain FB's trust. Right, M4. Kaguri smiled, satisfied, and knelt down in front of her. I'll treat you. Take off those bandages. Kaguri left the apartment. The sun had set. How about we don't rescue Kaguri next time, right? That's nothing but trouble with that woman. Nothing but trouble. She spent several hours treating Moika's wounds. Her hand still smelled of medicine. It wouldn't go away for days, possibly. She sighed.